My fiance's friends mocked my proposal ring in front of her, and she joined in and laughed, and now everyone says I'm overreacting for ending the engagement. I'm 28M, and my now ex-fiancée Delilah is 27F. Last weekend, her friends made fun of the engagement ring I gave her during her birthday dinner, and she laughed along with them. When I left and told her the engagement was off, everyone is saying I'm being dramatic and throwing away a relationship over nothing. I don't think it's nothing. For context, Delilah and I have been together for 3 years. We met through mutual friends, started dating. Things progressed naturally. We've lived together for about a year and a half in Charlotte. I work as an electrical engineer, and she's a marketing coordinator at a mid-sized company. We talked about marriage seriously for the past 6 months. I proposed 3 months ago in September. I've been planning it for weeks. I knew she loved this botanical garden in town, so I arranged a private tour during their evening hours, had them set up lights and flowers in her favorite section. Her best friend helped me coordinate so I could get photos. The ring. I spent 2 months researching and saving. I'm not wealthy, but I'm financially stable. I'd been setting aside money for almost a year. The ring cost me $3,500, which is a lot for me. It's not a huge diamond, about 3/4 of a carat, set in white gold with small diamonds on the band. The jeweler said it was a really nice stone, good clarity and color. When I proposed, Delilah cried, said yes immediately. She seemed genuinely happy. We called our families right after, posted photos on social media. Everyone was excited. She wore the ring constantly, would show it off to people. I thought everything was perfect. The first weird moment was about 2 weeks after the proposal. We were at dinner with her college friends, Ivy and Blair. They'd flown in for the weekend. These are women Delilah has known since freshman year. They're very close. At dinner, Ivy mentioned she'd just gotten engaged too. She showed us her ring. It was massive, easily 2 or 3 carats, very expensive looking. Everyone was fawning over it. Then Ivy said something like, well, not everyone can have a ring like this, right, Delilah? And laughed. Delilah laughed too, said, yeah, mine's more modest, in a tone that fell off. I didn't say anything at the time. Figured it was just girl talk. Later that night, I asked Delilah if she was happy with her ring. She said, of course, that she loved it, that Ivy was just being Ivy. I let it go. Over the next couple months, there were small comments here and there. Her friend Blair would send her photos of celebrity engagement rings. They'd text about them. I'd see Delilah's phone sometimes, and the messages would be like goals or imagine with heart eye emojis. Again, I figured it was just normal stuff women do. Then last weekend was Delilah's birthday. She planned a dinner with her friend group, about 8 women total. Some I knew, some I'd only met a few times. I was the only guy there, which was fine. They'd invited me, and I wanted to celebrate with her. We were at a nice restaurant. Everyone was drinking, having a good time. At some point, the conversation turned to weddings and engagements. Several of the women were engaged or recently married. They started showing their rings, comparing them, talking about their proposals. Ivy made a comment about her fiancé renting out an entire rooftop venue for the proposal, how there were professional photographers and musicians. Blair talked about her boyfriend proposing during a trip to Paris. Someone else had gotten proposed on a yacht. Then Ivy looked at Delilah and said, so Delilah, remind everyone how you got engaged? In a tone that sounded almost mocking, Delilah laughed, told the story about the botanical garden. One of the women I didn't know well, Harper, said, oh, that's sweet, in a way that sounded condescending. Then Ivy said, in the ring, can we see it again? Delilah held out her hand. Everyone leaned in. There was this moment of silence. Then Harper said, oh, it's cute. Another woman said it's very dainty, which felt like code for small. Ivy said, I mean, it's perfect for you, Delilah. Not everyone needs a big flashy ring. Delilah laughed and said, yeah, I'm not high maintenance like some people. Looking at Ivy, they all laughed. Then Blair said, what did that even cost? Like $1,000. She was laughing like it was a joke. Delilah said, I don't actually know. He wouldn't tell me. Still laughing, playing along. I said it cost $3,500. Everyone got quiet. Then Ivy said, oh, well, that's not bad for a starter ring. Delilah laughed, actually laughed, said, yeah, maybe I'll upgrade someday. I felt like I'd been punched. I'd saved for a year, spent months picking the perfect ring, proposed in a way I thought was meaningful and romantic. And she was laughing about upgrading, calling it a starter ring, in front of her friends who were openly mocking it. I stood up, said I had to go. Delilah looked confused, asked what was wrong. I said I'd talk to her later. She said I was being weird. I left. I drove around for an hour, just processing. Then I went back to our apartment. Delilah wasn't home yet. I packed a bag, left my key on the counter, took the engagement ring from where she'd left it on the bathroom sink, and went to stay with my friend Calvin. Delilah called me an hour later. I didn't answer. She texted asking where I was, why I'd left. I finally responded saying we needed to talk, asked if she could meet me the next morning for coffee. We met the next day. She was upset, asking what had happened, why I'd taken my stuff. I told her I was done, that the engagement was off. She looked shocked, said I was overreacting, that it was just her friends joking around. I said she wasn't just tolerating their jokes. She was participating, laughing, talking about upgrading the ring someday like it wasn't good enough. She said she was just playing along. that she didn't mean it. I asked if she was actually happy with the ring. She hesitated, then said of course she was. That hesitation told me everything. I said if she had to think about whether she was happy with it. Then she wasn't. She started crying, said she did love the ring, that her friend's comments had gotten in her head, but it didn't mean anything. I said it meant something to me, that I'd worked hard to give her something meaningful, and she'd let her friends mock it and joined in. She said I was being too sensitive, that this wasn't worth ending a relationship over. I told her it wasn't about the ring. It was about respect, that she'd let her friends disrespect me and what I'd given her, and she'd laugh along. She said she was sorry, that she'd messed up, but that I was throwing away 3 years over one stupid moment. I said it wasn't one moment. It was her hesitation when I asked if she was happy with the ring. It was the fact that she was already thinking about upgrading, like what I gave her was temporary. She begged me to reconsider. I said no. I gave her back the ring, told her she could keep it or return it. I didn't care. Since then, her friends have been blowing up my phone. Ivy called me immature, said I couldn't take a joke. Blair texted saying I was ruining Delilah's life over nothing, that she was devastated. Delilah's mom called me yesterday, said I was making a mistake, that Delilah loves me and the ring, that every girl compares rings with friends, and it doesn't mean anything, that I'm being overly sensitive and prideful. My own friends are split. Calvin thinks I did the right thing, that Delilah showed her true colors. My friend Asher thinks I overreacted, that I should have just talked to her about how it made me feel instead of ending things immediately. My sister thinks I'm right, that if Delilah can't stand up for me in front of her friends now, it'll only get worse after marriage. My parents think I should give her another chance, that people make mistakes. I don't know, maybe I did overreact. Maybe I should have tried to work through it, but I can't stop thinking about her laughing, talking about upgrading, that hesitation when I asked if she was happy. Am I wrong for ending the engagement? Was this really an overreaction? Update 2 weeks later. I'm updating because things have continued to unfold, and I need outside perspective on where this stands. After my original post, I got thousands of responses. Most people said I was right to end it, that Delilah and her friends were disrespectful and materialistic. Some people said I'd overreacted, that I should have communicated better before ending a 3-year relationship. The week after I posted, Delilah kept trying to reach me, texting, calling, showing up at Calvin's apartment. Calvin eventually told her I needed space, and she needed to stop. She sent me a long email apologizing, saying she'd been an idiot, that she did love the ring and me, that her friends had gotten in her head, but it didn't reflect how she actually felt. I didn't respond. I needed time to think about whether I believed her and whether it mattered. Then about a week ago, something unexpected happened. Ivy, the friend with the massive ring who'd made most of the mocking comments, reached out to me, asked if we could talk. I almost ignored it, but curiosity got the better of me. I agreed to meet her for coffee. She showed up looking uncomfortable, said she wanted to apologize, that what she'd said at dinner was out of line, that she'd been drunk and trying to be funny. I said her being drunk didn't excuse publicly mocking what I'd given Delilah. She said she knew, that she felt terrible. Then she said something that surprised me. She said she'd been jealous, that her fiancé had spent a fortune on her ring, but the proposal itself was lacking. He'd done it home with no planning, no romance, just pulled out the ring during dinner one night. She said when Delilah had shown her the photos of my proposal at the botanical garden, with the lights and flowers and thought behind it, she'd felt envious, that her fiancé had thrown money at the problem but hadn't put in emotional effort. I said that didn't excuse what she'd done. She agreed, said she was trying to explain, not justify, that seeing Delilah so happy with a romantic proposal had made her lash out, try to diminish it by focusing on the ring size. I asked why she was telling me this. She said because Delilah was miserable, that she'd been calling Ivy, crying every day, that Ivy felt guilty for causing this. I said Delilah caused this by laughing along. Ivy said she knew, that she talked to Delilah about it, told her she'd been a terrible friend, and that she needed to do better. I asked if Delilah had sent her to talk to me. She said no, that Delilah didn't even know we were meeting, that she was doing this on her own because she felt responsible. I appreciated the apology, but I told her it didn't change what happened. After that conversation, I spent a few days really thinking about everything, about whether I'd ended things too quickly, whether I should have given Delilah a chance to make it right. Then, 3 days ago, Delilah asked if she could come by Calvin's place, said she needed to say something to me in person. Calvin checked with me first. I said okay. She showed up with a letter, said she'd written it all out because she wanted to make sure she said everything she needed to say. I told her she could just tell me. She said she was afraid she'd forget something important or start crying and not be able to finish. I read the letter in front of her. It was 3 pages. In it, she apologized for laughing at her friend's comments, said she'd been caught off guard and had defaulted to going along with the group instead of standing up for me, that she'd been insecure about having a smaller ring than her friends, and instead of dealing with those feelings maturely, she'd made jokes to deflect. She said the hesitation when I asked if she was happy with the ring was because she felt guilty for having had those shallow thoughts. Not because she actually wasn't happy with it, that she loved the ring, loved the proposal, loved me, and she'd thrown it away by being immature and letting her friends' opinions matter more than what the ring represented. She said she'd spent the past 2 weeks realizing how much she'd taken me for granted, that I'd put thought and effort into everything, the proposal, the ring, our relationship, and she'd diminished it in a moment of weakness. She said she understood if I couldn't forgive her, but that she needed me to know she was genuinely sorry and that she'd learned from this. I didn't know what to say. I told her I needed to think about it. She said okay, that she'd wait as long as I needed. She left the letter with me and went home. I've read that letter probably 10 times. Part of me wants to believe her, wants to think this was just a stupid mistake, but another part keeps remembering how easily she laughed, how quick she was to joke about upgrading. Calvin thinks I should stay done, that even if she's genuinely sorry, she showed me who she is under pressure, that she'll cave to her friend's opinions again. Asher thinks I should give her another chance, that 3 years is worth more than one bad night. My sister agrees with Calvin. My parents still think I should try to work it out, that everyone deserves a second chance. Yesterday, I saw on social media that Ivy's engagement is off. Apparently her fiancé found out she'd been complaining about the proposal to people, and he ended it. I feel like there's some irony there. I don't know what to do. I miss Delilah. I miss our life together, but I don't know if I could trust that she won't prioritize her friends' opinions over our relationship when it matters. Do I give her another chance? Or do I trust my gut reaction and stay done? Final update for weeks later. This is my final update. I've made a decision, and I'm moving forward. After my last update, I spent 2 more weeks thinking about everything. Reading Delilah's letter, talking to friends and family, going to therapy to work through my feelings. My therapist helped me identify what was really bothering me beyond a surface issue. It wasn't just that Delilah had laughed at her friends' comments. It was that she'd let them set the standard for what should matter to her, that she'd measured what I gave her against what others had instead of valuing it for what it represented. That told me something about how she makes decisions and what influences her. I also realized I was angrier at myself than at her, angry that I'd ignored earlier signs, the comments after Ivy's engagement, the texts about celebrity rings. I'd written them off as harmless, but they were showing me what mattered to her. 3 weeks ago, I decided to meet with Delilah one more time. I wanted to have an honest conversation about whether we could come back from this. We met at a park, neutral territory, walked, and talked for almost 2 hours. I told her I appreciated her apology and that I believed she was sorry, but I needed to understand what had really been going on in her head, not just at the dinner, but in the months before. She admitted that when Ivy had gotten engaged with a massive ring, it had made her feel like what she had wasn't enough. She said she'd started comparing, looking at other people's rings online, feeling embarrassed when people asked to see hers. She said she tried to push those feelings down because she knew they were shallow, but they'd been there. I asked her why she hadn't talked to me about it. She said she was embarrassed, that she knew she should be grateful and happy, that admitting she felt insecure about the ring size made her feel like a bad person. I told her I understood feeling insecure, but that communication is everything, that if she couldn't tell me she was struggling with something, even something shallow, then we had bigger problems than a ring. She agreed, said she'd realized that too, that she'd been so worried about seeming ungrateful that she'd bottled it up until it came out in the worst possible way. I asked her if she thought she could change, could learn to value things for what they represent instead of comparing to others. She said she wanted to, that this had been a wake-up call, that she'd already distanced herself from Ivy and Blair, that she realized they brought out the worst in her. That actually meant something to me, that she'd recognized her friends were toxic influences and was doing something about it. We talked about the proposal too. I asked if she'd been happy with it or if she'd been comparing it to others. She said she genuinely loved it, that it was beautiful and meaningful, that the jealousy had only been about the ring, not the proposal itself. By the end of the conversation, I still didn't know what I wanted. I told her I needed more time. She said okay. Over the next week, I did a lot of thinking. I talked to my therapist again. We worked through what I needed to feel secure moving forward, what boundaries I'd need, what communication would have to look like. Then I made my decision. I called Delilah and asked her to meet me. I told her I wanted to try again, but not as engaged, that we needed to rebuild trust first, that I wanted us to go to couples counseling, work on communication, spend time together without the pressure of wedding planning. She agreed immediately, said she'd do whatever it took. I told her it might take months before I felt ready to be engaged again. She said she understood, that she'd wait as long as I needed. That was 2 weeks ago. We've been taking it slow, having dinner together a couple times a week, talking on the phone. She started therapy on her own to work through her insecurity and people-pleasing tendencies. We've had 2 couples counseling sessions so far. It's been good, different than before, more intentional. We're actually talking about things that matter instead of just coexisting. She's been making an effort to show me that she values what we have instead of comparing it to others. As for the ring, I'm keeping it for now. I told Delilah if we get engaged again someday, it'll be with the same ring, that this is what I chose for her, and if she can't appreciate it, then we're not meant to be together. She said she doesn't want any other ring, that she'd be proud to wear it. I don't know if we'll make it long term, but I know I needed to try. 3 years is a lot to throw away without giving it one real chance to be fixed. My friends and family have mixed reactions. Calvin thinks I'm making a mistake, that I'm setting myself up to be hurt again. Asher is supportive, thinks I'm doing the right thing by trying. My sister is skeptical, but said she'll support whatever I decide. As for Ivy, I heard through Delilah that her engagement did end. Her ex-fiancé told her that if she was that focused on how things looked to other people, she'd never be happy with what she had. Delilah said it was a wake-up call for her too, seeing how her friend's behavior had destroyed her own relationship. I'm cautiously optimistic about where things are going with Delilah, but I'm also protecting myself, taking things slow, watching for red flags, making sure she's changing for herself, not just to get me back. For now, we're not engaged. We're just two people who love each other, trying to build something real instead of something that looks good to other people. That's enough for me right now.